You don't have to be a medical examiner to know that a dead body does not stand a chance when stuffed into the trunk of a black Tesla and left in the Los Angeles heat in August. The natural process of decomposition goes into overdrive, and so it did with Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Her body had decomposed so badly that when it was found on September 8th, one day after her 15th birthday, some reports said only a head and torso was found. Had she been dismembered? Or was the decomposition so bad that her head and torso were all that could be recognized at first? Investigators continue to list the young victim's cause and manner of death as deferred, meaning undetermined, but they've also now returned Celeste's remains to her family. So was the medical examiner able to fill in all those important blanks? Or did they have to give up looking because the answers are impossible to get? My next guest is the perfect person to ask all about this. Joseph Scott Morgan is a certified death investigator and the Distinguished Scholar of Applied Forensics at Jacksonville State University. He also hosts the extraordinarily popular podcast, Body Bags, with Joseph Scott Morgan. And he's a friend of mine and a friend of the show. It's good to have you back, Joe Scott. Let's get right to it. I just can't believe this report that the body has been returned to the family. Would they list the cause and manner of death the minute they find it? Or the fact that it's not listed and the remains have been returned, does that mean we're not going to get it?
No, I don't know that it necessarily means that we're not going to get the cause of death. I think that it might be coming. However, it might be vague. We might hear things like homicidal trauma and non-specific homicidal trauma, perhaps. But here's something I want you to understand. If you look at the flyer that they put out, when she was missing, you notice her weight? It was 120.
Yeah.
Now,
wasn't it like 70 pounds or something crazy?
Right. When they recovered her remains, Ash, 71 pounds. That's 49 pounds she's missing. So what can we determine from that? Well, we've heard reports of dismemberment, and there was one report from the police that said the body was not intact. So either we're missing something or she's in such an advanced state of decomposition. And look, I don't want to go too far over the top here, but bodies do have a tendency to break down and even liquefy to a certain degree. And in this heat, and I even remember in August, I've got friends in LA, and they were talking about it was a record-breaking heat wave that they were in during this specific period of time. And heat, as we know, speeds everything up, particularly decomposition.
Well, we all know how hot a car can get.
Yes.
This is a black Tesla. It is the trunk. It is outside, likely in late August, early September in LA. Can you give me an idea of how fast a body can be in advanced or liquefied decomposition in that kind of an environment?
Yeah, relatively quickly. And if she's been packaged like in plastic in any way, that's also going to cause the body to sweat as well, contained within that within a plastic packaging. I'd heard some indication that that may have occurred. And again, it's literally like being in an oven. The body begins to reduce. It's like any other organic substance that you place into this environment. It's going to react and interact with the environment, and the heat and the temperature are going to dictate the rate. The problem is, Ash, is you're trying to measure this out without specific dates. You know, I begin to think about what the status of the remains would be throughout this process. If she was compromised physically after death, if someone had attempted to do something with her body, where's the rest of it? How much was lost during this procedure? And then you couple that with the fact that she's going to be subjected to heat, that's going to even give rise to quicker decomposition. So, people don't realize that.
Let me be I'm going to go rapid fire because I have a lot of questions for you and only 2 minutes left. But is it possible she could decompose to a point where even early investigators would think she's dismembered, but she wasn't? She's there. She's just liquefied in so many places they couldn't tell.
No, they do not throw around the term dismemberment without specific evidence of that. You're going to have tool marks here.
Okay. With the decomposition, can you back time of death? Would the ME be able to determine time of death?
They're only going to give you very broad strokes relative to time. Those parameters are very difficult to set, particularly this far down range, down the timeline. I'm sorry?
How broad? How broad?
I'd say probably they're not going to be able to narrow it down any more than about 3 weeks, probably.
Oh, gosh, that's not going to help. Okay, how about toxicology? In the advanced state of decomposition, will they be able to tell if she OD'd or if she was OD'd? I mean, there's a homicide version of being overdosed, and then there's, an accidental suicide of overdose. Will they be able to tell if there's drugs involved?
Yeah, there's two things that we do, just so that everybody understands. At this point in time, you're not going to do a blood draw. It's going to be probably worthless. You're going to go to the organs. What we do is we take samples of the liver and of the brain, and those will be spun down in a centrifuge. Now, what you will be able to do is you can get a qualifying amount, but you're not going to be able to get a quantified amount. So if you're looking for an OD, basically all they'll be able to say is that, yes, there were these drugs in her system, but you can't give a specific number relative to therapeutic range versus OD range. Okay.
The next question's a big one because a lot of people are asking, and some are throwing it out there without proof that Celeste might have been pregnant. But we've seen this before, right? Girlfriend gets pregnant, boyfriend doesn't want the baby, and things go sideways. Not saying it happened with David and Celeste. However, with advanced decomposition, if she were pregnant, could the investigators tell that?
Yeah, the key is going to be the uterus here. I think I don't know how much information we could get relative to hormonal changes, which are things that we look for in pregnancy, right? In the postpartum state, though, what you're going to be looking for is the uterus. Does the uterus survive? Is it still there, or has it been done away with? If it's there, there might be some histological changes you could appreciate, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that.
If the uterus is not intact, there's no way to tell just from the liquefied remains if the hormonal changes are there or if evidence of pregnancy is there?
I think that would be very, very difficult. Those tests are very, very sensitive, and this far down range, I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Okay, if it is possible, if her uterus, because they did say they found a torso, so if her uterus was intact and they are able to determine if she's pregnant, if she were pregnant, would they be able to determine paternity, even in advanced decomposition?
Oh, excellent question. That's really difficult to determine. I would say probably not at this point, particularly if they can't recover a fetus. And, we've heard all kinds of wild rumors about this sort of thing. And I don't know that anything is going to be there. They haven't released that information yet. So I'm going to be sitting around just like you, waiting to hear more info from the medical examiner. I wouldn't hold my breath, though. I'd say that we've probably still got 4 to 6 weeks before we're going to hear anything. They're going to try to test every possible item that they recovered at autopsy. And not just that, but they're going to be exploring cause of death here. Her neck muscles, strap muscles, hyoid, and also anything relative to skeletal structure. Did she have a skull fracture in any way? Or was there any kind of bullet trauma? A lot to be learned from here.
Yeah. I've got 10 seconds left, but I've got to ask you, it was in the impound lot for only a couple of days. It was abandoned street side for about 5. So let's just say around 8 days in the hot sun in Los Angeles. How advanced do you expect her decomposition to be, and how many answers do you think we will get?
Yeah, very advanced. You're going to have significant, what's referred to as skin slippage. I still have this idea. I don't know that her body was in that car the entire time. Was it in a structure somewhere else? And then people wanted to get separation from the body as the body began to turn. Put it in the car, move it down the street, get rid of the smell, get rid of the body, but yet be able to keep an eye on it.
It's why you are so popular with your podcast, Body Bags. Joseph Scott Morgan, I always appreciate our conversations. As macabre as they are, you're so informative. So thank you for this.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it, Ash. Good to see you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.